After holding my dying husband's hand and walking out of the hospital, my heart was already shattered, but the whispers of two nurses in the hallway uncovered a truth that changed my entire world. I pressed his hand for the last time at 6:14 p.m. and the monitor's uneven beeping was sinking somewhere deep into my bones. My name is Ivana Clary. I am 57 years old and I am the woman from River West, Milwaukee, Wisconsin who watched her husband die, so closely that the warmth of his fingers still feels trapped in my palm. When I stepped into the hospital corridor, my eyelids felt as if they hadn't blinked in 47 minutes. My heart had already shattered, but when I overheard two nurses, Ashley and Kira, whispering, "What if she finds out the truth?" my feet froze like they had turned into a brick wall. My pulse throbbed in my teeth. Their words tied such a tight knot in my stomach that I had to lean against the wall to stay upright. I heard only 5 words, but there was a crack inside them wide enough to swallow the entire hospital. Before I go further, let me take you back 8 months. To the morning when the first wound was cut, though I didn't recognize it as one at the time. 8 months ago my life was slow and straightforward, so simple it might have been my greatest flaw. I'm a forensic accountant. People think that means I count numbers all day, but they don't understand how deep numbers can go, how they whisper when something is wrong. I had spent 32 years building a reputation for following paper trails to their ugly truths. Yet in my in-laws' eyes, my career was just big people's games. My husband, Henry, Hen to me, never openly disrespected my work, but he folded under his mother, Conzetta. She had a way of shrinking people without raising her voice. The first crack appeared on my 54th birthday. We were sitting in my old Ford with 147,000 miles on it. Hen said quietly, "Mom thinks you're overreacting again." That day I had planted 6 new flowers in our tiny 480-square-foot backyard garden. I remember the dirt under my nails when Conzetta stood in our doorway and said, "This is all pointless. You'll never accomplish anything meaningful. Hen deserves better." I tried to respond, but Hen looked away. I told myself every family had a difficult mother-in-law. Maybe I was too sensitive. The second wound came when Hen caught the flu that turned into something worse. I withdrew $42,380 from my savings to cover treatments insurance refused to handle. That night in the kitchen, Conzetta cornered me. "Your money," she said. "That just makes you feel important. The real burden is ours." The wordless stamp she pressed on my forehead was clear. Less than. The third moment chilled my spine. I overheard her on the phone with her brother, Kurt, saying, "She'll never fight back. That's the beauty of it." It was 2:47 in the afternoon. I stood halfway down the stairs, my heart dropping like someone had cut a rope inside my chest. For years I made myself smaller in the name of family. The only person who saw me clearly was my Aunt Priscilla, 78 years old, her house untouched since 1968 and smelling of cinnamon and old wood. She listened without judgment. One afternoon when I told her Hen's health was worsening, she handed me a file. Trust Fund Henry J. Clary, $620,000. I counted my breathing 47 times that night. Every inhale carried doubt. Every exhale carried hope. Had Hen hidden this from me? Or had Conzetta manipulated it to keep control? Priscilla explained that my grandmother had entrusted her with the documents 11 days before she died, with one instruction: never let Ivana be seen as weak. When I opened the file, the numbers spoke immediately. Mortgage payments totaling $230,400. Medical withdrawals of $18,760. And one line that hollowed out my stomach. Authorized by Conzetta Marie Clary, 2019. The withdrawals weren't legitimate. They were siphoned. The pattern was deliberate. Preparation became my quiet rebellion. For 96 straight days I gathered evidence. I met with an attorney 8 times. I scanned 27 receipts. Outwardly I remained the compliant daughter-in-law. Inside I hardened into steel. The confrontation came at Hen's 60th birthday party. Conzetta hosted it herself. 42 guests filled the hall. 6 white candles flickered on the cake. She began her speech smoothly. "I've always wanted the best for my son. Some people weren't worthy of him, but family steps in when needed." Heads nodded. I had taken 2 bites of cake, but it tasted like cardboard. Then she added, "Hen's illness is caused by stress. Some people bring that stress into his home." Her eyes rested on me for 2 seconds. Felt like 20 years. Priscilla placed her hand gently against my back and stood. That's enough, Conzetta. The room quieted. I set the file on the table. 27 pages. My attorney opened it and read aloud from page 14. Total withdrawals. $230,400. Unauthorized. Signed by Conzetta Marie Clary. A ripple of whispers spread. Concetta's complexion shifted from pale to gray. Hen looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. Page 22 followed. Medical withdrawals, $18,760. Misappropriated. Priscilla's voice remained calm. You thought Ivana was weak. Weak people don't leave paper trails. Conzetta tried to protest. This is a lie. Ivana forced me. I interrupted quietly. I never forced you. You did this because you believed I would never fight back. The applause she had enjoyed moments earlier dissolved into silence. Kurt stepped back. Candle smoke curled toward the ceiling. The consequences moved quickly. The trust was restored. Concetta's financial advisor license was suspended within 6 months. She was required to repay the $42,380 I had contributed toward Hen's care. Family members distanced themselves. Hen was devastated, not by me but by the realization that I had been protecting him all along. He apologized 5 times over the next few months. But illness does not retreat just because truth surfaces. 8 months later he died in my arms. On his final night, I held his hand the way I had on our wedding evening in 1993. The warmth was still there, only faint. I told him softly, I never left you, Hen. You pushed yourself away. He squeezed my wrist once. At 6:14 everything stopped. Back in the hospital corridor when I heard Ashley and Kira whispering, I understood. They weren't gossiping about some secret crime. They were talking about the 4 phone calls Conzetta had made to me in the last 2 weeks, asking for forgiveness. I hadn't answered. She's stronger now, one of them had said. She'll never bend again. They were right. The next day I returned to my small garden. Priscilla had cared for it while I was at the hospital. 6 new lilac plants had bloomed, my grandmother's favorite. I pressed my hands into the soil. For the first time I didn't feel broken. I felt unburdened. Roots survive even when they're buried beneath dead weight. They only need light once the obstruction is removed. Hen is gone. The grief remains. But so does my spine. Conzetta still calls sometimes. I let it go to voicemail. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are survival. I am Ivana Clary, 57 years old, from River West. I watched my husband die. I exposed the woman who tried to make me small. And I learned that strength isn't loud. It's patient, precise, and documented. Some wounds break you. Others reveal exactly who you've been all along.